In this video, we are creating a responsive navigation bar using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So watch me and learn while I create. So I've already opened the file here. So let's create the HTML file. So let's make it index.html. So let's create the basic structure of the HTML. So yeah, now let's give the title navbar. So let's create the CSS file. That will be style.css. So here let's write the universal code. So let's give it the padding of 0 and the margin of 0. So let's give it the box sizing of border box. So the text decoration is none. So I let's give it the list style of none. So now let's see. So in this HTML file, we are going to use some font. So let's head to our Chrome browser. So here let's go to Google Fonts. Google Fonts. So there we are going to use the Poppins font. So you can also use any font there are a lot of fonts there. So I'm going to get the font. So let's remove the older font we have here, the outfit and this one. So let's get the embed code. So I'm going to copy this code here, come to our HTML file. So I'm going to paste it here. So after that, so we are going to copy the CSS style, the CSS class. So here is it. So we just need this font family. Let's just copy this. And then let's come to our CSS file. So after this line, let's add this code. That means the font we are going to be using on this site will be Poppins. So now let's start the code. So we have to create a div. So we are going to give it the class navbar. So inside the div you have the h3, which we will use as the logo. So let's give it so after the logo we have the nav links. So use the ul tag, and then we have the li, and then the attribute link. So in the attribute link we have the home. So let's duplicate it. So we have the features, we have the about, so we have the testimonial, and then we have the contact. So after that we have a button, which is the search button. So we have a search button. So here we are going to create a button. So inside this button we are going to use an icon. So to use an icon, let's come to our web browser, and then there are a lot of icon providers. So let's use the neon icon. So here, let's click on the usage. So we are going to copy the CDN link. So here's this. So we are going to copy this script. So let's copy. Let's come back to our HTML file. So after this last div, before the body closing tag, so we are going to paste the link there. So let me align it very well. So now for this, so we are going to come back to the web page. So here you are going to click on the icons. So you are going to search for the search icon. So we are going to click on search. So this is the icon. So let's click on the field one. So you are going to copy the code there. So you can also download the SVG over here. So whenever you click on the link on the HTML tag, so it will be copied. So let's come back to the, so let's paste it here. So let's save. So let's preview the site. So we have completed the HTML part. So let's preview this. So let's open it, the live server. So here's the stop. So can you see the icon? So and then, so let's come back to the, let's tile the navbar. Let's come back to the, so now we are going to link this HTML file with this CSS style. So within the edit tag, you did the end tag, so you can add it anywhere, but it should be inside this tag. So it can be above this title or anywhere. So let's add it here. So you are going to link. So we add the rel. The rel. So we are going to write style sheet, and then we are going to write the href. So that will be, so this href will be the file name here. So that is, it will be the style.css. So that's it. Okay, doesn't need this. So let's save it. So if you come to the web page, you can see the font has already changed to the Poppins font. So now let's style this navbar to make it look nice. So let's come to the file. So in this HTML file, so let's type the body first. So the body, so let's give it the background color of something dark, and then the color of white, so the height of 100 VH. So I think that's all. So when we view the web page, you can see the background is already black and this font is already white. So this is a link, so it won't change automatically. So let's come to, so let's start the next. So this div, navbar. So let's copy the class. Let's come to the CSS. So here we are going to write dot. So let's pick the class and then so give it the display of flex, justify content, center, align items, center. Oh, the justify content will be space between. So it will make it, it will align it. It will be same space in between the elements. So let's come back to the, so we are going to give it the padding of 5% from the left and right. So we are going to give it 10 pixels from top and bottom and then 5% from the left and right. So and then let's give it the border of 1 pixel solid. So let's give it kind of green. So here we are going to add the margin of 10 pixels and then the border radius of 20 pixels. So let's check the size. So now let's start the content, and this navbar is not looking nice enough. So let's come back to the CSS file. So here let's change it to 2 pixels and this let's change it to 30 pixels, and then the margin let's give it 20 pixels. So now let's style the h1 tag, which is the logo. So let's just give it the class logo. So let's come to our CSS file and then so let's give it the font family, the font size of 30 pixels. So let's give it the text transform, so which is uppercase. So let's give it the color of green and then the shadow, text shadow of this. So now we need to, can't use this green, so let's make it something light. So let's change the color. So let's give it something light like this. So let's copy the color code. So and then let's replace this green with the color code. So just come here. So and then replace all. So let's save and then come to our web page. So as you can see, the color is looking nice. So now let's type this link. So let's come to our CSS file. So here let's give it the class nav link. So let's copy it. Let's come to our CSS file. So let's give it display flex gap. Let's give it 20 pixels. So let's come to the link tag. So let's give it, so we have li and the that means the attribute link. So let's give it color white, font family, font size, sorry, let's give it 18 pixel. So let's save and check what next. So the navbar is already looking nice. So now let's start the button. So let's come to our HTML file. So let's give it the button a class. So let's give the class btn. So let's come back to our CSS file. So let's give it the all on set. So the height of 40 pixel and the width of 40 pixel. So the background color should be RGB, the color code. So and then the text will be white. So the color be white. So display reflects, and then the justify content, center, align items, that will be also center. So we are going to add the border radius of 50%. So now we are going to add the font size of 18 pixel. So let's check the size. So we are going to add the pointer cursor and then some mobile effects. So let's come back to the page. So we add the cursor, pointer, and then let's add some over effect. So .btn over. So I'm going to add a box shadow of 0, 0, 13 pixel, and then the color code. So let's add some transition. So here add the transition. All in 1 seconds. Let's make 0.5 seconds. So let's see. So let's come back to the page. So now we can see the over effect on the icon. So for this link we need to have some over effects to make it look nice. And then let's find just a logo to this logo. Just find the icon to this logo so it looks more professional. So for this, let's come to the icon. So let's find an icon that fits. Let's use this. So the icon depends on the kind of website you are creating. So let's come back to this. Just a tutorial, so I just use a random stuff. So here let's paste the icon. So let's save. So let's come back to the page. So as you can see the icon is, so let's type the icon differently. So let's come back to the page. So from this logo, after this logo, so let's add logo and the icon. Let's check. Let's put the name. Let's copy. Let's come here. Let's paste it here. So let's give it the color white, and then the font size of 40 pixel. So over here, let's add the display flex, justify content, center, and then align items, center. So let's save. So let's add the over effect here. So let's come here, dot navbar lia. So let's add some over at over. So here, so that will be, let's give it the color of RGB, so the color code, and then the text shadow of 0012 pixel. So and then let's add the transition, so all in 0.5 seconds. So let's save and come back to the web page. So as you can see, the logo is kind of looking good, and then the over effect is already showing, and then so this icon looks smaller. So let's come over here to the icon. So from this button, let's add the font size of 24 pixel. So let's save and come back to the web page. So I think it looks more bigger. So font weight, so let's use 900. Okay, so now we already have the icon. The navbar is looking good on the desktop screen. So now let's make it responsive on mobile. So here, let's come to the bottom of the style. So we are going to use the at media. So at media, we are going to use the screen, and so it will be max width of 900 pixel. So now anything we style in this section, it will only be shown in a screen that is less than 900 pixel, or is that 900 pixel. So let's start from this nav links. So we are going to add an icon here. So let's add an icon in between. So we are going to create a div or a span tag. So that's where we are going to add this button and the nav link icon. So the nav link icon will only show on the smaller screen and won't display on the desktop screen. So let's add the button, and let's use the span tag. So we are going to add, let's go for the icon. So over here, let's find menu. So here's the icon. So let's copy the icon and come over to here. So now let's give it a class menu. So let's come over to the style. So in this larger screen view, we are going to make it hidden. So let's edit the menu. So let's use the display none. So on the smaller screen, so the menu will be display flex. So if you check the page, so as you can see, the menu is not displaying over here. So let's make it in a smaller screen. Right click and click on inspect, and then come over to here, choose the mobile phone. So the style is not looking nice. So if you can, as you can see that the icon is showing over here. So let's style it to make it look nice. So let's come to the CSS style. So we have to edit the logo first. So the logo, so you have to change the font size. The font size, let's make it 24 pixel, and then let's make the nav link display none. So the nav link is not showing. So now let's give it a style. So let's come. So the menu, the navbar will be, let's give it the width of 100. So let's start this span. Let's give it the class container. So let's copy the class name. So let's give it the display flex. So this menu, okay, let's check the site. So let's type this icon to make it more bigger. So let's come to this. So let's give it the font size of let's make it 30 pixel. So let's check. So and then over here, this container, let's add justify content center, align items center. So let's come back to the web page. So everything is well aligned. So but the page is still overflowing. That means the margin we add to this navbar. So let's come back to this side. So let's move this width. Let's see if I come back to the page. So it will display the nav link we hide. So let's come to this. So we are going to create a JavaScript file. So that's where we are going to make every. So let's script.js. So let's link the JavaScript with the HTML. So after this script tag, so let's add our script source. So the src of script.js, and then let's add the closing tag. So our JavaScript has been linked. So now in our JavaScript file, we have to get this nav link and this span, that means the menu. So whenever we click on the menu, it will display this. So now let's come to the JavaScript file. So here you are going to get so let's get the menu. Const menu is equals to document.getElementById. No, we are using okay. So now we have to add an ID to the element. So here let's add the ID. We can also use a query selector. That means we are going to select this class, but let's use an ID. So an ID of nav links. So and then to this span, let's add an ID of menu. So let's save and come back to the JavaScript file. So getElementById menu. So let's add a semicolon. So let's copy and duplicate. So let's change this to a nav link. So and then the ID to is nav link. So now we are going to make it whenever we click on this menu button, so it will toggle and display this nav link. So now make the menu dot add event listener. So we make it click. So and then let's add the function. So in here we are going to add a nav link dot class list dot toggle. So we are going to add the toggle open. So and then let's add the semicolon. So let's duplicate it and then let's change it to okay. Let's change it to the menu, and then let's change it to open. Let's leave this one to open. So let's come back to the CSS style. So after this nav link, so you are going to add the class nav link dot open. So you are going to add display grid. So let's add a transition all in 0.5 seconds. So whenever I click on this, so as you can see, it's already displaying, but it's still not looking good enough. So let's come here. So let's style the grid. So let's add the position of absolute. So in this, so we are going to add the position of relative in the navbar. So let's add the dot navbar. So position will be relative. So over here we are going to add the bottom of, or the top of 50 pixel. So the background color, let's add inherit. So let's come back to the side. So now we need to make it align more better. So let's come back to the code. So let's come back to the code. Let's over here, let's change this to 60 pixel, and then let's make it text align center. So let's save and let's come back to the web page. So now we want this to move to the center. That means we are going to add the width to this. So let's give it the width of 100%. So let's come back to the so let's add some padding of 10 pixel. Padding of 10 pixels. So over here I think we add something that make it align more to the right. So let's come to the nav link. So here we add the gap of 20 pixel. So let's change it. Let's add the gap of 10 pixel. So the gap 10 pixel. So the width, let's change it to VW, and then the navbar is now responsive on the both screen. So this is the end of the tutorial. If you have any question, paste it in the comment section. I will surely reply, and then subscribe to this channel to get notified on our next video. Thanks for watching.